Today is all about snippet rolls and snippet strips, so I hope you will join me to see how I like to make mine. Today I'm going to start the process of embellishing my signatures, but there is a little twist. We're not going to be adding very much to the journals. We are just going to put them to one side and keep them in a safe place, ready for when we're finished writing in them, and then they get adorned with some beautiful ephemera. Today I want to show you how I make different types of snippet rolls and snippet strips. I've got loads of ideas to show you. We're going to make these together, and I will introduce some of the snippet rolls that I've made in the past to give you some ideas, but hopefully you will be encouraged to get your scraps out and get crafting. Snippet strips are one of the best ways to mass make and have something on hand. I've got examples here that I will show you of some of my snippet strips, and I've also got here a nice little I hang them up on my wall, and I've got lots of snippet strips to show you here as well, and we're going to make some of these together. And I showed you some of these rolls earlier, and there's different ways of making snippet strips. There's always different ways of making everything when it comes to junk journaling. These are more like so these are rolls that you would use for things like pockets, belly bands, and they're kind of complete in themselves. You just snip it off and create a belly band. And I've used on this one different book pages, and I've used kits. That's Rachel Bella Crafts William Wall's kit. I love that kit, one of my favourites. You can see quite a lot of it in this one here, because at the time I was actually using that kit doing a different project. So you can make your snippet strips, and you can make them so that they are kind of neat then in terms of the edging. I guess that's one difference. You can have straight edges, and then you can use them for a variety of things. I could even use, I'll show you this one, because again this is another one of Rachel's kits, and I could actually cut that up like that and use it as a tag, and just bind it, so stick it down on a piece of card and use it as a tag. So depending on the size, again, you can use the pockets, belly bands. Yeah, you can alter the size, and then that will give you more options on what to do. What I do find though is I just like putting these on show and not using them, but I must use them. And I may I don't know, these kind of don't go with the kits that I've chosen for these signatures, but if I can find a way of using them, I will. This is a little bit different. This is more sort of mixed media, where I've used drop sheets and jelly prints and my own doodling, and I've even used misprints there from the printer. And again, this one is similar as well, where I've just used all different types of colours and things, and I find these actually quite inspirational in terms of the colours that go together, and I'm going to be using this one in my pink art journal. So I'll leave that one out actually, because that'll remind me to use it. And then this one is neutral, so I could very much use this one in these signatures, and all I need to do then is just add some blue corresponding digital kit and things to that. So I think I'll keep that one out as well, and I may put the rest of these away. And the other type of snippet strips then, a bit more organic. So here's one example, and literally all I've done is I've sat at the sewing machine and I've fed little bits of scraps through as I'm stitching. And these are mainly book pages. I don't think I've got any digital scraps on that one. This one then is more like a ruffle. This one here, oh gosh, I've got so many on this clothes hanger here, it's all going to fall in a minute. So this one again then, so this is a little bit like the rolls I showed earlier, except I haven't trimmed off the edges. So I could still trim off the edges if I wanted to and make a roll, but that makes a really interesting snippet strip. So it's quite large pieces. And again, I've used mainly book pages and a bit of doodling and all sorts on that one. This one, again, you could use this one on either side. You know, you can flip it and use it that way. You can flip it and use it this way. So this is where the scraps are a little bit more uniformed in size. Again, these are perfect for clusters. I've got some rolls here. Done quite a bit of neutral ones because they are great then to use in any projects. This is another one I've made. This is a lot more sturdy actually, it's quite bulky. I've put it on card, packaging card. So again, that's neutral. And I've got this one here then again, which is more like something I'd roll up. That's got some of my doodling on as well. So I could possibly use this one in another one of my journals. So I might keep that to one side and not put it away. Let's pop that there. So yeah, so there's lots of examples there. So we are going to make a couple of these snippet strips. So I've gone through my scraps and I've got a pile of neutral scraps here. And I've got a pile of blue scraps, just randomly chosen. And what I find with making snippet strips is it's great to have a little bit of embossing because that provides some really nice texture to your snippet strips. So I've got here some white paper. These are bits of paper. So when you print out your ephemera from digital kits, you always get borders around the side, or you get spare, you know, wherever you haven't got images, you'll have sort of white spaces on the ephemera cutouts. So that's what these are. And I've got some lightweight watercolour paper here, and I've also got some tea-dyed paper. So I thought I'd do a bit of embossing on those. And I've got a little sidekick here. Now, I love this little thing. It's great because what it does is it actually suctions itself to the base, which is brilliant. And it's small and easy to use. But I haven't been successful in finding embossing folders for it. Even die cuts. I've only got a couple of die cuts that actually go through this machine. So if anybody out there watching has got some more embossing folders that fit through a sidekick, then, oh, please do let me know. I don't think I could cut any other embossing folders and fit them through. I don't know if that would work. It might be an option. But anyway, this is the only one I've got. And all I'm going to do is, let's just move this to here. And I'm going to pop this through. So this is, it is a nice, you know, if you're not going to do much embossing and you don't want to invest in a big shot, that's it, big shot. If you don't want to invest in a big shot and you just want a little bit of embossing, then one of these is a good option. But yeah, they need to bring some other folders out really. So, because you can only really put much in there, not put much in there. Now it's not sticking to my mat at the minute, which is okay. It usually does. So I'm just going to put this through a couple of times. And it was just easier to show you on camera than getting my big shot out. If you're new to junk journaling and you've not seen embossing before, you won't know what the heck I'm talking about. So that's what a sheet of, I would say, what would I say this is? 140 GSM, I'd say this is. Photo mat paper. It looks really nice, I think. And I could probably put a few in at a time, actually. Should we give that a go? Try and save a bit of time here. So if you just want to get a little bit of quick embossing done, these machines are quite cool. I certainly use it more than I do my Big Shot. I really should have a day of just doing embossing. Because I dislike it so much. Put them in like that. And the popping sound when you're putting them through. Oh, it just goes through me. Absolutely goes through me. Now these are probably going to be too cut, and they're probably going to rip now. Probably was a little bit ambitious of me to do all those pieces together. There you go. So there's those little bits. So I've got some little piles now of scraps, and I love doing this at night on the sofa. I'll just have little piles all around me, and I will just go ahead then and glue them together and then chuck them through the sewing machine at a later date when the glue is dry. Sometimes I'll sit in front of the sewing machine and glue them straight, not glue them, I'll sew them straight. So literally I will just start at the top there and then feed the scraps through the sewing machine. But not everyone has a sewing machine, so we'll do the gluing. And you certainly don't need to sew these, but if you like sewing, then you tend to do that yourself. These are all similar-ish in size. You can do them small, you can do them big. It depends on how scrappy you want your snippet strips to look. Sometimes I'll, like this one now, this is a bit big. These are all a little bit big actually, so I'm just going to make them a little bit smaller while I'm here. I find preparing ahead and having the scraps ready really does help. It makes it a lot quicker in the end, because you don't really need to think, and it's something that you can just mindlessly do, I think. So let's start here, and all I'm going to do is alternate some digital scraps with plain book pages and the embossing bits, and I'm just going to glue these in place. And it's up to you how you glue them. You can do them straight, you can do them wonky. I quite like them wonky. I quite like having the edges like that. You can also then, if you've got pages or if you've got scraps that have got something on the other side, so if your digital kits, your scraps are double-sided printed, then you can obviously flip them, which is quite a nice thing to do. So you have a little bit of variety, but you don't need to. I'm just going to pop these in place. Oh, just do it that side. And you really don't have to think too much about this. I just try and alternate it. I do actually find it easier sometimes to go round in a circle, but I haven't actually sorted these scraps out like that. But you can, if you've got a bit of room, you can just go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then you just have them going around, and that's quite a bit of fun as well. So it's however you like to work. And yeah, it's quite enjoyable. It's something you can do if you want to. You can let your mind wander. I sometimes think up plans and think about what I'm going to cook for dinner. Or you can be a bit more mindful and try and focus on what you're doing. Depends what's important to you, I guess. I quite like letting my mind wander at times, because then I find that I come up with some good ideas. Obviously not about cooking or housework, but you know what I mean. So here is the finished one. I eventually stopped. It does become a bit obsessive. The more it's like, once you pop, you can't stop type of thing. And you can see here I've It's fairly scrappy, but I haven't sort of twisted them too much, but it's scrappy enough that it'll add interest and texture to your journal. And then if you want to make more of a roll rather than a strip, then I would suggest that you work with scraps that are of similar width. They don't have to be exact because we'll chop them down, but it does help to have at least the minimum length. It doesn't matter about the depth really. And again, you can make these as tidy or as scrappy as you want. So I'll give it a go doing it tidy, because I've got loads of scrappy ones. So if I go and grab a scrappy one now, just to show you the difference. So I've got 2 examples here, and with these, what I've done to make it easier is I've just used scrap paper on the back, and then I've stuck bits down, one on top of the other, and it's a bit like a masterboard really, like a masterboard strip. And similarly with this one, this is even larger, and I had lots of strips and just random pieces in a pile. I keep this little tub here, and so I stuck all them down. So they're very random in nature. Just pop those to one side. But what we'll do now is we'll do a neatish one. And again, it's exactly the same process as what I did earlier. So you start off with one piece, and then you just glue. You can use glue stick if you want, but I do find for this type of activity, I find using this much better. And then you just line them up, and I quite like having ripped edges, and I also like having different heights, should we say, to the pieces. But these are great ways of using up your scraps. I love doing it like this. It's really good because you can make so much with them afterwards. So I'm just going to carry on now and quietly stick these down and enjoy the process.
Maybe our lives were not meant to collide from the start, but who could foresee the fall? Maybe it's time to decide what to do with the fact that it happens to us all. From time to time it all comes around, and no one knows the end. We're all building bridges slowly, tearing them down fast to start over. We're all trying to come over memories of the...
So here it is, and very simple process, and you can leave it like this or you can trim them. And I'm going to trim mine, so I'm going to make it nice and neat. And I'm going to decide how wide I want it. And what you'll find is you will have bits missing on the side, which you can always fill in afterwards. So I'm just going to go here and try to make it fairly straight, and I'm going to use a craft knife You could use scissors if you wanted to. And if you find that you're losing too much, then what you can do is you can change the, you know, cut it off like this. Because you can always rejoin it. So let's start back up here then. So there's my bits. So I think there's only one bit that's a bit short there. So you can just add another piece on, just to make it up, like that. If you want to keep it nice and neat. Doesn't have to exactly match, but there you go. And if you cut them like me and you want them in a roll, then you just need to join them together. But you need to think about how to join them together, because if you're potentially going to use the different sides, so you can see I've got double sides here, so I can, you know, I can chop and change which side I use. You want to think about how you're going to attach them, because attaching them with a piece of tape or washi or whatever would work really well, but I'm just going to pop these back on just like that, just as I made them in the first place, just with a little bit of glue. And I haven't attached them back in the same position, which really doesn't matter. So I've done the width that would be suitable for small tags, I suggest, or pockets, or little journaling cards, or belly bands. And what I'm going to do now is let the glue dry, and then I'm going to stitch. You don't have to stitch at all, but I do quite like the stitched look. So I've got that one, and I've got my scrappy snippet strip here. So wait for the glue to dry, and then I'll come back and show you how it looks. So this is what they look like stitched. And I really like them when they haven't got backing. They're much more flexible, and I think you can almost do more with them. And they're very thin, so it's great for not bulking out your journal. So always think about the option of not adding a backing to your strips when you make them. So that's that one. And this is the sort of messy one, which I really like. And you really don't have to add stitching, but if you've got access to a sewing machine, these are great great little things to stitch on and practice your stitching. And while I was at the sewing machine, I was procrastinating, and I decided to use lots of little scrappy bits that I had on my desk, and I've just really messily stitched them on the pages. Again, doesn't add much bulk to your signatures at all, but it adds quite a bit of interest and texture. So I had quite a bit of fun doing that, and I only had a few little snips to play with. So I've done that, and I've got these tiny pieces left on my desk, so why not make something out of them while we're here? Because wouldn't it be a shame to waste them? I mean, they're beautiful little scraps. Now, call me insane, I really don't mind, but I want to make something out of these. So I'm just going to start gluing the strips down. And building up the layers. Let's go with that piece. It doesn't matter if some of the layers get covered up. That's all part of the fun. I've got a little die cut here. I was lying around on my desk, waiting for its moment. There we go. And could pop this somewhere. Maybe on the back of this page here. No, don't want it on there. Kind of want it so that it doesn't stick out actually. It gets swallowed up there. Oh, there we go. It's a nice little bit of contrast there. And I think what I might actually do is put it down the bottom, and I think I will leave it so that it creates a bit of a tuck spot. There we go. Very quick little cluster. And let's see what we can do now to decorate these snippet strips. And I think I'll start with this one. And this is the main side, the one with the blue and yellow pattern. But of course you can flip it if you so wish. So I'm just going to grab some supplies, and I think what I'll do is I'll use some fabric first. I've cut out some strips of fabric, got some scraps going on there which I'll keep, and I am going to just add the strips along the seams where maybe I'm not that keen with the seams, I should say. I've got these lovely lace pieces as well, and I would like to use them over some music paper. I think that would look really nice. So I'm going to use glue stick just to stick them in place, and I'll probably restitch, I think, but we'll see how it goes. So I want it to go like that. So I just need it to stay in place so it doesn't fall off. So I've probably got enough for 2 there actually. No, I'll keep that in the scrap pile. So that's that one. And I've got another music sheet here. Look how gorgeous these are. They're so pretty, aren't they? And normally I'd say to myself, oh, I'll keep those for, I don't know, something special. But, well, you know, my journal's special, isn't it? So let's use them up. And
But happiness can't wait. And maybe it all would come clear if we knew how to act for each other's sake. From time to time it all comes around, but no one knows the end. We're all building bridges slowly, tearing them down fast to start over. We're all trying to come over memories of the past and start over. We're all building bridges slowly, tearing them down fast to start over. We're all trying to come over memories of the past and start over. The past will start over.
if you don't want to add if you don't want to add fabric, you could add washi. That would work really well here. Any of your scraps, really. So this is looking really, really scrappy now. It's very messy, and I'm guessing some people won't like this, but I do. So this is how I like to create, with that sort of rustic vibe going on. So I'm going to put this to one side for a minute before I do any more decorating to it. And I'm going to go back to my scrappy strip of bits and pieces. And I think what I want to do with this one is to add some of the fabric that I've got left over to these. So I think rather than trying to decorate the strip as it is, which I do. If you have a look at my Instagram account, you'll see that I will use these strips and then add some fussy cuts and things like that. But I think actually I'd like to go and make some clusters straight away from this. So I'm going to start tearing these round about to the size that I would normally use them. So with the stitching in place, what you want to do is sort of rip around the stitches and then just snip it. You could cut these, but I don't really want the straight, I don't want the straight edges of the cut. So I'd rather rip them like that. And maybe this one I'll do a bit longer. And what I want to be able to do is to use some of these pieces of material to decorate these and build up some more layers. So maybe something like that. So add the two together. So on the back, And what you might find is easier when you're doing this is to add some paper to the back as well, so that it'll be easier to stick down. So do a nice bit of glue there. That will give it a little bit of strength. So I'm not quite keen of that bit in the middle there, so what I might do is just add a piece there. That's just one little scrappy strip. Let's find this one. And on here, what you might want to do is just build up the layers. I wanted to mention something that's really shaped my creative and personal journey, which is using different types of journals for various purposes, and why I absolutely love it. I've mentioned previously that I like to keep separate journals for various parts of my life. Usually one will be for my creative projects, a place where I get to play, explore ideas, experiment and reflect on whatever I'm working on. And I find that having a dedicated journal for creativity keeps everything organised, and it's so inspiring to be able to look back and see how my artwork and ideas have grown over time. Then I have my daily journal just for the day's musings, life events, moments of gratitude or simple reflections on my day. It's my private space to process thoughts and emotions without worrying that they'll get mixed up with my creative work. It makes each journal feel special, and every part of my life gets the attention it deserves. But sometimes I throw all the rules out the window. On those days when my thoughts are too tangled or spontaneous, I pick up just one journal and let everything pour onto the page. No boundaries, no categories. It's incredibly liberating and feels the right thing to do. Sometimes you just need to capture the moment without hesitation, and that's okay too. For me, having multiple journals is about supporting intentional creativity and thoughtful self-reflection. But I think the most important part is giving myself permission to be flexible. Occasionally, breaking my own rules keeps journaling fun and personal. At the end of the day, journaling should be served you, not the other way round. So whether you use lots of journals or just one, remember there's no right or wrong way. Let your journals adapt to your life and your needs. And as I'm at the beginning of this new Journal With Me series, I've decided to make a journal which will be dedicated to these episodes. And I will be showing you that process in the next episode. So that's just a couple of quick ideas using up scraps on your desk. And obviously, the possibilities are endless, and we will make lots more of these. But I quite like doing them and then having a look to see how I can incorporate them into a journal. So, sort of like in the middle here, I would either use them as a tuck spot, I would use it like a pocket. More often than not, I will use them to decorate the edge of the page and then have them sticking out so that they look like tabs. So, that would look like that then. And I don't mind having these in my journal ahead of time. I find them absolutely fine to write, but the more you add in there, the more bulk you get. So, and on this page, I would prefer to have something that was a lot more plain. So like maybe I would add just strips of material to this page. Like that. and build up some interest that way, so that it sort of combats the fussiness of the actual page. But I think that would look really nice on that side. And then you flip it over, and even that isn't too bad, but I would probably just have it peeping out like that. And then perhaps I would just write around it. So it's not too bad, but I don't need to put these in. What I'm going to do is actually number them and then have a record of where to put them. So what I'm going to do now is try and switch this thing off. I bought myself a little sticky pad so I don't have to keep on ripping my sticky sheets. So I thought this would be really handy. So let's go to that really fussy page there. Let us draw around here. And that's going to be strip number 1. And that's what I'm going to do, and then I'm going to pop these in my envelope. So where I don't have any bits on the page, I'm going to add these in. Now, I've never done it like this before. I've never prepped ahead, but I'm really hoping this is going to help me with my journaling. Now, the other thing you could do as well, of course, is you could add some pretty flowers and really embellish these up. You could add fussy cuts, so whatever you, or however you want it to look, really. So I like that one there.
The past won't start over.
That gives you an idea of how I'm planning on working in this journal with the strips. So let's start working on this again to make it a little bit more interesting. For the larger strips, I prefer to decorate these when I've cut them up, because it all depends on the orientation of how you use them. So unless you're using embellishments that have no orientation, so it doesn't matter whether they're upside down or not. So like this one, for instance, it wouldn't matter. That could go anywhere, and I could either put it in position like that, or I could put it in position like that. But where you're using something that's got that, you really need to know which way this is going. So all depends on what you're using, but I'm going to cut these up and then decide what embellishing to do. And while I was off camera, I also made a plain one, a neutral strip, because pages like this one, it's better to have something neutral, and then you can add in something blue on top of it. So that's what I was thinking for that, and I'll probably start with that page actually, and I'm going to do a belly band for this one. So I just want to measure it. I'm probably going to cut it where it creases there. Okay, so I don't want it interfering with the page actually twisting. So I'm going to stitch down there quickly. Went right round again for good measure. And I'm going to add just a little bit of scrappy material. And pop that there like that. And so that's how I will decorate that little strip. Can't remember what number I got to now. I think I had 5 strips. I'm pretty sure I had 5. Yeah, 5. So let's do number 6. And it's in journal number 2. So I'm really hoping this is going to work. I really do hope it's going to help me get to a stage where I'm going to have decorated signatures with little effort at the end, she says. So yeah, these strips are great for belly bands. So of course you could do a belly band that way. And I think I've got quite a lot of pockets in this one, so I don't think I need anything more in there. Let's grab this one. So this is journal number 1. And I have got a couple of pockets in there. What I could do is decorate one of the pockets. So what I could do is put a nice strip there. So let's trim it. And just going to stitch. And on this one then I'm just going to use some fussy cuts. So I'll pop this little label in place first. And these flowers. And then what you could do there is you could actually have a double pocket. So let me put this on here. So it'll be a double pocket. Let's call it number 7. And this is journal number 5. Oh. I thought this was journal number 1. But no, that is stick number 1. Right, okay. Journal number 5. So I have to make sure I put that in the right envelope. And then just call this double pocket number 7. And what I'd also like to make with this one is a bookmark. So I want the bookmark popping out the top. Let's see what we've got here. So that's quite a pretty top. So if I cut it to about there, like that, cover my glue. Okay, and then I need to straighten it up a bit, I think. So okay, so that needs to be just a bit straighter. And that. And I need something on the back. And what have I got here? So what I'll do is I'll stick something on the bottom as well. And what I'm going to do is just round the top. And some of my flowers. Or maybe even just one flower. I think actually that's enough. I think there's a lot going on there, so I think that flower does it for me. So let's pop the labels in place first. Oops. My flower. So let's just see how this looks in this pocket. That goes quite well. I'm going to put a little tag on the top there, so it'll stand out a little bit more. So I use my crocodile. Pop in a little eyelet. Oh, got two eyelets here now. Go, and I think what I'll do is I'm going to put it in this plainer pocket here. Glue gun, and I'm going to leave the pocket open. In fact, what I might do is fold it over like that. I quite like them when they're folded over. Just glue that down. That makes it a bit sturdier. And I thought what I would do is also make a little embellishment here. So I've got some scrappy bits of fabric. And a bit of paper. And I thought that would look pretty there. And I think what I might do is staple it actually. The worst thing I ever did was tidy my desk up because I cannot find anything. Nothing is where it was. Oops, that's not working very well. What's happened here then? Okay, let's try again. That's better. I think I will glue that in place. It's fairly flat, so it's not going to bother me too much. So I'll pop that in now. I was going to add some of my watercolour doodles. Okay, I'll put that in there. This one, I think we'll keep that one delicate. So those are ready to go in some of the journals. So see if I can fit them in here. I think that would look really pretty there. And what I might do with this one is create a tuck spot. And I've got this one. Which is quite a large one. Quite like that there, like that. I can make that bit smaller so it doesn't stick out too much. Okay, so this one I think I'll just make it as a tab, I think. There we go. So there's quite a few little things that I've done already, and I've got loads more scraps to make more snippet rolls out of, so I will certainly do that and tidy up my desk a little bit. But I think that's all I need to do today, otherwise I'll never get this video edited and live in time for the weekend. So I hope you've enjoyed that. I've really, really enjoyed working in these. I think it feels like I've done a lot, but of course when I go to the journal, it's still really plain. And that is what I need. I am desperately in need of having plain pages to work on. if this was all, if I'd stuck everything in here now, I wouldn't want to write in it. I really wouldn't. So I think this is going to work out really well. So we've just got a few little things in there. A couple of little things. Okay, I've added that in there, but that's fine. And then, of course, got all these goodies now to put away in my envelopes. So they will all go in envelope number 5, and these will go in envelope number 2. So I hope that's given you some ideas today. I mean, just really just one way of making embellishments out of scraps and then creating pretty ephemera for your journal. And I think it's going to work, where I'm putting these to one side and then I've got them all to stick in when my journal is completed. If you've got some ideas and if you'd like me to make some things, please do put them in the comments, and I will do my best to incorporate some of your favourite ways of embellishing journals into my own. I'd love to have viewers' ideas so that I can make some things, and if you've got some videos you think I should watch and try and replicate, then I'll certainly do that. But until the next video, I hope you will subscribe and like this video, and I'll see you soon. Bye bye for now.